I'm a man of routine, and I like to get drunk.
Which brings us perfectly into our topic for the day, divorce. Thank you for
100%, yeah. What is 7 years of therapy in one word?
Anytime anyone leaves a hangout with you, it's the hardest leave ever. Because you don't let the Irish goodbye happen.
No, you leaving? Why are you leaving?
The guilt, bro. The absolute guilt.
I just don't want the magic to end.
I want to know is that when your wife had the divorce papers, you went, where you going? You leaving?
You're listening to the Dear Buddies podcast.
You will grow from boys into men.
Whatever, dude.
What does that look? Don't get weird on me.
Hey, buddy.
For all those questions you can't bring yourself to ask your friends, ask your buddies.
The joke's in now.
Scopo looks like an MLB prospect that it didn't work out.
He is an MLB prospect where it didn't work out.
You hit the nail on the head, actually.
really.
When you said MLB, you meant NCAA Division I. Okay? That's what you meant. Division I AA.
One at bat, over
That's
one.
like,
Two. Over 2.
Three.
Hey, buddies. Welcome back to the Dear Buddies podcast. Thank you for joining us. We have a really fun episode today, but before we get into that, make sure you rate and review, subscribe. Rate, review, subscribe. Rate and review and subscribe on YouTube. Leave comments. If you want to join our Patreon, patreon.com/Dear Buddies podcast. We have tons of fun stuff. We do our bonus episodes every week. We actually have a bonus episode with our guest. You've seen our guest on many television shows. You just recently did the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
Yep, you
Very
see him
exciting.
also at Patty's Bar on Fridays and Saturdays. He's a local legend.
He's been. What else you've done? Conan. And you did Letterman
and Colbert.
Yeah, you've done the whole the quad.
Kevin McCaffrey called it the EGOT of late night, and I was like, that's really lowering the bar of the EGOT. You bring the EGOT into the stand-up world, it's like you real slum at it at that point.
Sean Donnelly. Shawty, baby, good friend.
You don't know what
EGOT is. No.
It's an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony.
Oh, okay.
He goes, who's Tony?
My neighbor.
Theo went wide, right? Anthony? You mean Anthony?
Some of my favorite text I ever get is a Donnelly. Hey, we're at Patty's. You coming? As if we were 40 minutes into a
Donnelly,
conversation.
12:30 on a Saturday. I'm out. I'm sleeping. I'm done. I'm done here.
Try 2 p.m. on a Monday.
It's always Patty's, though. You don't even need to say Patty's anymore. Just
I know.
say, you coming?
I know. I can't. If anybody, it could be somebody I mildly know. If you're having your birthday at Patty's, I will be there. 100%.
Donnelly doesn't invest in Bitcoin. It's Patty's coin.
Yeah, if anyone's throwing their birthday at Patty's, you're going to be there because you're already going to be there.
I like unpretentious bar. It's the place where
the place is
any
cool.
place that you can like drink your face off and nobody's judging you. Come on, how does that not work out in life?
Pretty good time.
And they always got decorations up for the holidays. I like that.
Well, you know what it is? It's because down the block they have that place Rolf's, which is like a
yes,
it's a
the lights.
scenester thing where like yuppies go to check out all the decorations for Christmas, and Patty's is like the shanty Irish version.
Yeah.
They just go to Target and get a bunch of like plastic decorations and
They
put them
throw
up.
But that's why they do that
everywhere.
out of somewhat spite.
Not even spite. I think it's just to be festive, and also
Okay.
maybe it's kind of like an inside joke, kind of, because
Yeah.
it does look cool,
So
and it's
funny.
way more relatable.
How
and
many
it's
times
wicked.
are you sitting at Patty's and people walk in and go, "Are you Patty? Is this your bar? You look like a Patty." That's what it is.
Yeah, you are the mascot.
Yeah. If Patty's got a mascot, it's short.
I'm a man of routine, and I like to get drunk.
Which brings us perfectly into our topic for the day, divorce. Thank you for the segue.
100%, yeah.
Oh, man.
one up
Well, I
there.
guess that show's over. We figured it out.
His alimony goes right to Patty's.
That was 7 years of therapy in one word.
Oh, sorry, we just got sad.
Oh, no, not at all.
No, but so Sean, on top of being a hilarious comedian, he also is someone that has experience in thing that a lot of guys don't really know about or think about too much, which is why we wanted to bring you in, other than the fact that we love you and you're great. And leaving you, when we leave, anytime anyone leaves a hangout with you, it's the hardest leave ever. Because you don't let the Irish goodbye happen.
You leaving? Why are you leaving?
guilt, bro. The absolute guilt.
It's 7:30 in the morning. Don't worry, but we have plenty of time.
You got stuff to do tomorrow. For what?
I just don't want the magic to end. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And I want to know.
Another day. Stay.
but now
Sean
it's
doesn't
almost
get
like-
that time just goes over. They understand that tomorrow's the same thing.
I want to know is that when your wife the divorce papers, you went, where you going? You leaving?
No. You know, ironically, she did it at Patty's.
Did she really? That's so funny.
You never know with you. You never know with you. You never know. Don't call him an idiot. You never know.
She couldn't find me.
She couldn't find you, so she went to Patty's.
You're leaving.
Sean was served at. Sean was just served at Patty's. So he got and served twice. Beer and.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's so funny. Where you going?
That's Kevin Ryan's impression. You're leaving.
It's so accurate,
That's
though.
so fucking funny.
Sometimes I'll leave a bar and I'll be like, I don't want to say goodbye to Sean because I'm going to feel good and I'll have another drink.
No, you can't. You just leave him.
People
You
just
leave.
have to leave.
Yeah, it does happen.
You gotta go.
You're why the Irish goodbye was invented. Like, I'm not saying anything.
That does happen all the time. I'll notice the next day. I'm like, 4 different people didn't say goodbye to me last night, and that's the reason why.
It's a good, great hello, terrible goodbye.
Oh, great hello, terrible
You're
goodbye.
great at hellos.
And I think at this point I'm like, it's almost like I'm expected to do it in a way. It has to be like a fine-tuned drunk for me to do it. Like
Yeah.
now I have to, like, if I'm sober enough, I downplay it because I know people hate it. So, but if I'm drunk enough, I'm like, caution into the wind, and I'm like, don't leave me. Hang out with me
It's
till
become a
5 in the
personality
morning.
trait, but it's not. It's just your actual sadness. Like, if you really projected what you were thinking, you'd be like, don't know. Why?
Yeah, Patty's puts on closing time and the song comes on. He goes, "No, you closing? Why?"
Supersonic, you're leaving. Why? Isn't that the band Supersonic?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, we want to talk today and kind of figure out what a divorce is. What it means. I mean, we know what a divorce is, but like the nuts and bolts of it. And like, I have a ton of questions because I feel like, you know, a lot of people, a lot of guys and women don't really understand like the process, what happens, the emotional toll, and also maybe you could give some advice to people that may be watching or listening that could say, hey, this is something to look out for, and this is some way to protect yourself, both financially, emotionally, spirit, you know, whatever
Sure,
it is. You
yeah,
know?
absolutely.
So-
And there's a lot to that. Like, I kind of had a unique experience because I do comedy and because we were broke. Like, I think money is
Yeah.
such a factor in these things.
Yeah,
Like,
for
we
sure.
even last time we were supposed to do the show, we kind of touched on it a little bit before Michael left. But we absolutely, money becomes the biggest issue, I think, with divorce. But because
Yeah.
I'm a middle class broke comic, and we didn't have the ton of money or a ton of assets, that at least made that one part easier.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make the whole thing easier at
Yeah.
all. Like, all the things you were listing, I have opinions about that now.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Emotionally, it's not. It's
Emotionally,
it's
I'm still
a wreck.
losing as
Yeah.
much.
I
Yeah,
think when like divorces happen, right, and you think of the guy, the first thing that pops in your head is like, "Fuck, how much did she take him for?" Like it's always
Yeah,
that.
you see the news, and you
before
see- yeah,
emotions.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
no
not, it's
one
never,
cares
yeah, it's
about
all,
the guy. They're like, "Oh, well, the guy's gonna lose his car. He's gonna lose half his house." Well, it's like, what about his heart?
Yeah, nobody says
what
like,
about his heart?
Are you in therapy?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no one asks you that. It's always like, what did she take?
Yeah, what's she
sucks,
getting?
You know.
Yeah,
And,
it's true.
and
My
then the
mom
guy's
was-
like, a piece of me.
But in reality, it's you're just like at Patty's.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it comes from. Like, one of the emotional things that I realized is there was such a toll on that. I was sad without knowing I was sad. Like, I saw people 6 months after I got divorced, and they'd be like, "How you doing?" And I'd be like, "I'm fine." And I really thought I was fine.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, because I saw so and so, like another comic," and they said Donnelly's walking around really sad. But so you like that shit affects you without you even knowing.
Yeah.
So like, I think that's why
Yeah.
most guys react like, "She took my car, she took my house," because they're like, that's what they can put into terms of it. But if you would have asked me, our divorce was fairly amicable, but if you really looked into it, it wasn't. There was a loss. So I didn't know that until it was so much. Everything with emotionally is always delayed with me. I don't see things on the outside till you're out of it. Like, you have to come
Yeah.
out of divorce to realize,
be able to look back
100%.
properly.
That makes
Even when
sense.
you know you're making the right choice, you're never. There's physical things happening to you and emotional things happening to you that if you're like us, especially comics and Irish and all that kind of stuff, you're not dealing with it head on at all. Even
No.
with therapy and all that, and even when you think you are, like, I like to pretend that like, hey, I'll talk about stuff, I'll do this, but I didn't. I just thought I was fine because I was like, hey, I didn't have a huge financial loss. Hey, we talked about it. We worked on it a little bit. I did go to therapy. We did this. So you think think you have fixed things, but you haven't. So the time, this happens with a lot of shit in life, I think. Time is the only thing that makes you go, oh, shit.
As a guy who's an Irishman,
right?
Like therapy's non-existent in your family, I'm assuming.
Not normally, no.
Yeah,
but
how was that jumping back into therapy, being like, I gotta go to therapy now for a little bit?
I was already going, and then I just started talking about it once I got divorced. I've been going for 7 years.
So you were in.
I was the type that I was like, my dad died when I was 21, and my sister went. I wouldn't go, and then it changed how
the Irish is in it.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the beginning. Let's start at the beginning of like pre-divorce. How long did you know your wife? Like, how long were you dating?
How long did you know your wife wasn't right for you?
We were dating before we got married. We were dating for about, I would say we were dating about 2.5, almost 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, about 2.5 years.
And how long
then we
were
got
you married?
We were married for 6. So together we were almost together like 9-ish.
How old were you guys when you guys met?
I was right before my 30th birthday.
Oh, so you were like
a little bit older.
Same age, the two of you?
She's a little bit younger than me. A couple years younger. Like about 2 or 3 years younger than me.
But you had dated, she had dated. You guys had prior relationship. Like, you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
It was a pretty natural. It wasn't fast. It was we lived in the same neighborhood. That's how we met. And then when she had a roommate situation, but it made sense. It was like the timing of her moving into my apartment worked out really well, and we were still with another roommate for a little bit. And then we got a couple friend of ours moved to LA, so 2 blocks away we grabbed an apartment. We were there for years, and then the L train thing was going to happen, so we moved to Sunnyside, and that was like kind of the beginning. But we were never, like you said with the Irish thing, like it wasn't like dragged down. I'm not the type with dragged down fights. It was things weren't being said was the problem.
Right.
Like
so that's,
it would have been
like
better than probably the fight.
Communication was broken, you believe.
I feel like relationships in New York, though, jump quicker because of the roommate situation.
Yeah.
So
you were like, oh,
I think you're right.
Let's just get up together.
It's like every New Yorker's a lesbian.
Yeah.
You know, lesbians move in after like 10 minutes.
Yeah, you move in because like, oh, it's cheaper. It's like, oh, instead of finding a $2,000 apartment by myself, I have now $1,000.
So looking back though, you could say now, do you think that if there was one thing that you could have done differently in the relationship as a whole, are you saying that communication, you wish, what do you mean by communication? Like, can you give any examples of like instead
of burying stuff, it's like, oh, that bothered me, I bury it. Like, you talk to them about it, and then maybe a fight.
Like, bringing up little things that annoy you.
Did you fight?
Not really, no.
Yeah, man.
That's interesting.
That's so crazy how fighting is so crucial to be.
I never fight, man. But I don't think
you're a cuck.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Yeah, you don't allow yourself to do anything around here. Last night he asked. He was when I want to get his ear. He goes,
spit it up. There it is. Was that Italian? I don't know what it was. It was Simlish.
It was. He wanted to get his ears pierced, and he goes to his girlfriend. Can I do it?
Well, you got to run that by someone, right?
You want them to be attracted to you.
What if she said no? And you're going to go, okay.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Like, just the same way I said after I got divorced, I didn't know I was dealing with it in a way. You, by not dealing with that stuff, that's taking you are having the thoughts, and you're not expressing. It's not coming out into the open at all.
Do you wish, looking back, like, I wish I would have done something that, obviously you're far enough away from it now where you have a new life, you have a lovely new girl, you know.
Yeah.
But is there anything that, like, after the fact, once you kind of got out of the clouds, you were like, man, what do I wish I could have done that could have saved the marriage? Is there any, like, particular moment when you were like, I know it's not going to work, and now I'm just delaying the inevitable?
No, because a lot of that process went rather quickly. So things got there was a lot of tension pretty fast, and we kind of knew. And then what ended up happening was, and this wasn't done for the reason of talking about the relationship, but we took a trip to Joshua Tree, just to be real cliche about it. But while we were there, it was so much, you could just feel the tension. And I said, went there, got a pizza, we were hanging out, it was really nice, and then there was nothing to say, and I was like, well, we could talk about us, and then that's when the floodgates opened.
Wow.
And I did, and it was not the intent. It wasn't like we went there just to do that.
Sure.
On either
mushrooms?
end, I don't think. No.
No mushrooms?
No. We didn't do that. We just ended up. Believe me, the breaking up a marriage was mushrooms for the week. You cry on both, Chris. Okay?
And in the middle of both, you're like, I want out of here.
So, when you were, because I don't know, my friends are married now, but I don't know too many of them that are going through a divorce. I don't think anyone is going through a divorce that I know.
Right.
But, like, I know how it is when you break up or your buddy breaks up with someone and you want to like take them out. And how did your friends like help you? Or try to help you deal with it? Was it like, let's get fucked up, let's bring you here? Like,
we just talked about Patty for 20 minutes. I get fucked up anyway. But yes, I did. That happened a bunch. I would go out with my friends.
Did it help though?
I probably thought in the moment it did. I probably thought in the moment it did. It's a release.
The book I read about not drinking, the guy breaks it down to you is like, yeah, in the moment you're drinking, you think that the alcohol is going to make it feel better, but those same problems are there tomorrow, and now you just have a hangover.
Yeah,
so
totally.
now you feel even worse with the hangover. So that's for me. It was like no point of drinking anymore because like, oh, your problems are going to be there. You have to deal with your problems.
How many of your buddies like sat down and talked to you and just were like, buddy, are you okay? Do you want to chat about things, or was it more?
Only a couple of them. My buddy Dan St. Germain would want to talk about it. I had the thing. Like, I was going to therapy and I still wouldn't talk about it because I was like, I'm fine. I'm fine. But it wasn't like a kid like being pouty kind of fun. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, or I wouldn't bring it up.
You just didn't know.
I didn't know. I had no idea. And to be honest, it was the right thing to do. What we did was the right decision, 100%. What really helped me more is after I left the apartment, I went home for a month and I had to get out of there. I was with my family and I'm too old to be there. But in between apartments, I did that. And I thought I was going to go get my own like studio. And I'm like, I'll live by myself. That'll be fine. And just the way it worked out, I lived with another comic, this guy Robert Dean. That helped me more than anything. The relationship as roommates, having somebody there, I think saved me over the course of a few years into the pandemic. I would have been way worse off if I didn't have.
Did Robert move out with their girlfriends and leave you all alone?
No, he was there the whole time. And then I moved in.
He didn't leave with a girlfriend and then move out like.
Why is that what?
He's saying that we did that to him. He's upset that we
he can't let it go.
Continued our life because we found happiness, and
just saying I was very lonely.
You're right. You're not drinking, and the problems are still there.
His problems left. So you were talking about the finances were easy though, like. What talk through that a little bit.
My buddy got divorced, and that was the main reason was finances because he does have a bunch of money, and we were all like, oh fuck, she's gonna take half now.
Yeah, but the thing is this, like your buddy has a bunch of money, so if he had a lot of money, you still have a lot of money after half the money. It's like you shouldn't, especially if it's like I think that's like a weird like meathead response to go, what'd she take it? Well, it's like one of those things where it's like you said, there's other shit involved,
that's
or there should be.
No, we did talk. I was one of to talk because I've gone to therapy. He's never gone to therapy before, and I was like, buddy, let's talk about it. You want to talk about it? And I remember him calling me up and being like, dude, what's therapy about? Because he was going to go with his wife and try to work it out. And I was like, dude, you got to just be open. You can't hold anything back. Just be open. And he told me it was good for him, but like he didn't experience like therapy before, so he just had no idea. I was trying to talk to him about it instead of just going to get him fucked up. Yeah, because I couldn't get him fucked up because I don't drink anymore.
Right. So
I was really trying to talk to him.
No, that's good because we come from the same area.
Yeah.
So it's like I have friends like that too. Like those my friends from home like that. None of them called me and said how you feel, like because we're all the same way. Like there's no therapy going on there.
No.
It seems like it's almost like systemic in your world to say, don't talk about it.
100%.
Which is what you are suggesting. Well, that's how the relationship ended because don't talk about it.
Yes.
We got problems, don't talk about it.
I'm first generation therapy.
Are you? Yeah.
Like,
so am I.
I'm the first one who went to therapy in my family, and then I started getting everyone else involved in therapy because they saw like, oh, it's better for you.
But you know what? Also, like I said, living with my buddy helped. Also, I was in therapy already because there was troubles during the marriage. So we knew that, and I started going because of that. And then I was in it, so I had that. At that point, it was probably weekly. Now I go twice a month, but it was probably weekly. So that's even better almost because you can say whatever messed up thing is in your brain about what happened.
Yeah.
And there's times I bring it up to this day. If I have a thing that I think is a connection to my life now or old habits that I'm trying to break from that relationship, I'll bring it up in therapy today. And it's just the more
it's great.
Yeah, it's good.
He mentioned something last time he was when you left to Miami to make money.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah, you said that you gave her money.
I gave her money because there was no question. There was never any. First,
you didn't need to though legally,
I didn't
right?
need to. It wasn't a lot of money.
No, but still,
let's focus on that for a second. Like finances is always like the biggest thing guys think about. So how did that work financially? What was was there a judgment like this? What you do,
No,
or how did the whole thing work?
No, he's just man
but I'm saying, let's
brain
talk
was like,
about it.
I gotta give
If
him
you paid
cash.
for a fish concert in
So was
2014,
it a no
you gotta pay it
contest
back.
divorce? Like here, we're done.
It
Split
was
it
like-
up?
it was
Did
a
you
no-
get
there
the
was
chair?
no-
She gets the couch. Like how did that
We
splitting of
that was
assets
all worked
work?
out. It was a literal like we filled out the forms, we signed it, she submitted
And
it, and we were
that's
done. That's what I mean. When there's no
Wow.
money, that's what does it is money.
Yeah, for
and
sure,
assets.
dude.
Because there was no assets, but I did up until not that long ago. I still had that weird man brain thing of going, well, I need to take care of her. I felt like still responsible after the fact, which is irrational because
Yeah.
I wasn't, and she was fine. So
But you
at
cut
one
her a
moment,
check.
I was. I wasn't even like cutting her a check with a giant pen or something. It was me just like Venmoing
I
her
wasn't
some
thinking
money.
you were Publishers Clearinghouse.
Banker from a
dick.
40s movie.
This guy's like Happy Gilmore with the checks in the back of the car.
But no, I you know what I'm saying? Like,
What'd she say when you Venmo her?
She was like, "Why'd you
why are you
say
doing
this?"
this?
Yeah.
Was it a substantial amount of money?
no, it wasn't that much, but it was like
$47.50.
It
What
was.
was the note on the Venmo?
I think it
still
was.
love you.
I didn't feel weird about being funny, but I was like, "Hey, enjoy" or something. I forget what I wrote, whatever it was.
Enjoy the single life.
She was like, "What was
Your
this?
ex.
What's this about?" And I was like. I go and I wrote. That's when I wrote. I was like alimony or whatever it is, like as a joke. And then like the engagement ring she kept, and I hope she cashed in. I was like, I think it was just to make me feel. I think it was like I had this thing like, oh, I should take care of
Closure.
you, and then closure, and to make me feel better, and be
Yeah.
like, I never had a lot of money. We always split our finances. It was never joint ever the whole 9 years. So I felt like, well, it's just weird. I think old school thing in my head where you should get something out of this, like, and
That's the guy thing, though.
Yeah, and it was also like I think I got a big payday. Not that long after the marriage ended, so I was like, "Oh, you should get
She
part of
should
this."
have been there for that. Yeah, that's
like
interesting.
It's a strange thing. I probably shouldn't have done it, but she
You
was
should've talked to me. I would
appreciative.
have talked you right out of that
Yeah,
one.
me too. You should call my
Jesus
father.
Christ, yeah.
He would have told you, don't give her a
18
penny.
different ways to avoid paying his mother.
Don't give her a penny, Sean.
No, because you know what it is. It's like I'd rather feel better. Like nothing was asked. I think also the fact that she was so cool with that stuff and didn't say like figure out finances and be like you owe me $1,000 total or something weird. That I'm like, hey, I made this. It's so close to the end of the marriage. I made money off some job. I was like, I sound like a hit, but I was like, I made money off something I did. So here's a part of it to just. I don't know why I did it. And believe me, it wasn't much money.
But you needed to
I
feel
get
like
it.
there's like a,
How many
a button on the end of that.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think it was because I was so curious. I think it was also wishing. Not that I'm saying I wanted us to be best friends. We don't talk at all, and I think
so you guys have done communicating.
done communicating.
You
She's a- what are you gonna-
gotta end it, bro.
What's she gonna go
This
to her
isn't
wedding
like
now?
a
And be
90s
like, hey,
sitcom.
No, nothing like
Your
that.
problem, bud.
Nothing like that. But I was like close to their family. I think I would have liked to have had it where. It was like a check-in situation every once in a while. Like every once in a while to be like, how so-and-so, how are you doing? But that's just not what she wants, and that's fine by me.
Yeah.
But I think that was also part of the money thing to be like, hey, just like, maybe it was a reason to be like, hey, what's
Also,
up
10
here?
years is a long time to spend with somebody to then immediately not speak. So,
Especially when it's so fairly amicable.
Did you guys ever talk about kids or having kids, or was that ever on the table?
Our last situation was that, which happens a lot, which I found out after the fact, which is, hey, we either have a kid or get divorced. A lot of people have that, but having kids was paramount for me. Like having kids, I've my whole life
I was the rare exception. They
What?
had the kid and then got divorced.
You're the other side of that.
No, like, I had a kid, then you're the reason for the divorce.
Yes, for sure.
Having kids for me like takes precedence, or used to. I'm starting to change my mind now, but like took precedence my whole life. Like that was the most important
wanted
thing.
kids.
I wanted kids.
But
I
you
still
still
do,
want kids, yeah.
but I'm getting older.
Do you feel lucky that maybe you didn't have a kid and then you're 18 years, you're now stuck with,
Yes.
paying her support, talking to her, and sometimes
Well, not
you
even
know.
that. I wouldn't mind paying the support. I'm just glad that we didn't have that situation.
you're
after
like-
the
He
fact.
would have loved the kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I think you
well-
always want a kid, though. Like, if you want a kid, I think it's better to have a kid. And
You would say your
and-
advice
All
that
I'm
would be
saying
like,
is like
if it
better
gets-
to have a kid with someone else, maybe your girlfriend now, have a kid with her instead of someone that is not going to work out.
100%. Oh yeah, and that's why
If
I'm
the
glad it didn't
question
happen.
is
I'm not-
divorce or kids, it's always divorce. Don't do the kid.
Right, that's the point. Yeah.
There are times I'm sure that people
They
do
did
stay
the
together.
kid. They did the
Hello,
kid. Yeah.
here I am.
But that happens all the time too.
And then he's
Yeah.
stuck in a studio renting with two other guys.
As an old stodgy grandmother would say, is don't have a real kid. Do it with someone you love.
yeah, right, exactly. But like that's I'm totally glad we didn't. Like everything worked, even though it was so hard. even though it was amicable, like I say, it's still such a big deal that I'm glad it worked out the way it did. Like with the no kid, that the separation of finances already, we got off way easier. Way easier. The only thing I regret is I should have stayed in the apartment we're in, because I was in Sunnyside and I loved it. I should have just ate the cost of it for like 6 months until I figured something out.
But no, because you moved in with a friend who really helped.
You're right. That's a good point. I would have been by myself.
Those four walls, they won't yell back at you. They won't tell you to put the bottle down.
Oh, really? Like I wouldn't know.
They won't call you directly at Patty's. Yeah. Come home, Sean.
So what happens if your buddy, like you got a buddy who gets divorced? What would you do that differently that maybe your buddies didn't do for you? Would you?
Let's say you're a divorce counselor. Like what's on your menu of things?
Well, not
to
just
help?
a counselor, just a friend of
I would be checking in, like so. I would be checking in I'm still the same way. I wouldn't be checking in of because I think I was giving off vibes like I don't want the hey, how are you, buddy check-in. But I'd probably try to take them out for dinner. I'd definitely take them out for drinks, and then say, hey, I went through this as well. So you want to talk about it? Try to relate that way.
Yeah.
There's no other specific thing I would do because I think everybody's situation is different. Like some people get full on just side swiped left, we knew what was going on, and we were both on the once we brought it up, we were both on this. I thought it was gonna be like this. I brought it up first, which is mind blowing for somebody like
because
me to do.
you don't.
I don't bring those things up.
Yeah, she really has to end you.
Yeah, no, she sure did. With the amount of UCB situation.
Yeah.
With the amount of people going through divorce, and celebrities too, you know what's going on with people breaking up divorces. Like the way your divorce happened, you could look at things and go, "Well, mine isn't that bad at all. We're like friends and stuff like that."
Yeah.
So you had a pretty good situation in that.
But it still rocks you. It still gets you.
Oh,
it's just
for
that
sure.
But 100%, I think I lucked out like crazy because I think, like you said, we could have had the kid and then I would have been involved for 18 years. So. And I would have been excited still to have a kid, but you're right. It's still better for the situation not to. So with somebody else, I think I would try to read their situation. Some guy, you have friends where they just get their woman, their wife or their girlfriend just leaves them, and you're like, oh, geez, you don't know what to do. It's just they're shocked. It's
you had friends too, which is not having friends after a divorce, and that's brutal because you have nowhere to. Just being a buddy who's in a relationship, he just goes with his girlfriend constantly, and they have no friends. That's weird. They start coming back.
That's
at least
strange.
You had that plan of
So,
you were already hanging out with people.
But it sounds that if you were if you are going through a divorce, don't be afraid as a guy to don't be scared to reach out and ask hey, can we hang out, or hey, you need to be around people.
You need to be around people.
Don't be alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or don't feel like you're alone.
What I would do is
don't be scared as a guy to reach out because you want to be tough, or you're going to be the tough guy, or I'm good, I don't need. Reach out to somebody, and if your friend's going through a divorce, reach out to them. They're going to push. This is what it sounds like you're saying.
Yeah, you know what I'd do? The only thing I probably would tell them that could be mess with them a little bit is the thing that I found out when that person told me somebody told me you've been walking around depressed. I would be like, hey, you're giving not to be oh, you're giving out some real depressed vibes, cheer up a little bit, but more
in the comedy world.
Hey,
too,
just so you know, things might be happening to you that you don't know,
unaware, be a little bit more aware.
Exactly.
That's interesting, actually, because you don't really know until years later. You're like, holy shit, this was me. I was walking around eating potato chips around Queens, I had mustard on my back. I was
absolutely.
insane.
Well, dude, you know what it was there's little things that get you. I would take the same train back to when I used to go to Sunnyside. I would take that to 42nd, but I'd be on the same train route from doing spots and get on the train, and then just being on the train in the same realm immediately get depressed.
Really?
Immediately get depressed.
Yeah.
And that's you think it's oh, you're thinking about it, but you're not you don't think it's staying with you, but it's staying with you.
Right
I guess I never thought about that. You're going back into the home that you shared, and then into the neighborhood, and into the routine, and then passing the stores that you guys used to go to. And
oh yeah,
so,
I had to go over there a couple times, and I that's why I wanted to leave the neighborhood because I love that neighborhood, but I had to because I would have been too much.
So do you think that the change, not only the roommate, but also just getting out of the environment that you were living in
helped?
Plus the roommate, do you think that they're about balance?
Definitely.
You'd recommend even if you sell the house, buy something else, rent something, go somewhere.
You got to get out of this. You got to get out of it.
I know even during like a breakup, I'm like, I don't want to see any of the things I ever saw with this person.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's actually pretty interesting.
Yo, how about getting back into like dating? And did it help you like when you started dating again? Like girls were like, "Oh, this guy's divorced." Like because there's a bit of a myth of like, or I don't know if it's a myth, but there's a bit of a rumor like, "Oh, women are into guys who are just getting out of divorce
because they shows that could be married."
What rumor is that?
What are you talking about? You've never heard this? Like girls, like when a guy's divorced, they're like, I don't know if they think he's broken. They want to help him get back on his feet and stuff like that.
Someone's getting a ring that's getting taken off.
I think
Cole's over there making notes. He's like, I should get engaged. He goes, why can't guys have engagement rings?
What's up, Eddie? How you doing? Huh?
You know, that's another thing that you get into too soon after. That's what maybe I would tell them that as well. As advice goes, wait. I should have waited. I jumped into a couple of situations that I shouldn't have. I went on apps right away because
dating.
Dating wise, I jumped on things, and then when there was a couple of things that should have gone farther than they did relationship wise, I was like, oh shit, you have a realization. I'm not ready.
Yeah,
I'm not, and you really aren't. Like you have that wake up call. I remember the time. I was probably a year and a half, almost 2 years. I remember realizing how much of a funk I was in directly after the divorce. So I remember the feeling of being like, oh, I feel like lighter. I feel like a little bit like it's not on my shoulders as much, and I'm getting out of it. And that's just time and therapy and whatever else.
Exactly.
But it's weird because if you would have asked me if I felt any different 2 weeks prior to that feeling, I'd be like, no, I'm the
you
same.
Know, you
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you think that, did you have like realizations on dates where you're like communicating with a person and you're like, I should not be here?
Not more like hanging out with somebody and then like getting to usually it would kick in when I was like, I would think I was ready to go past, like you're hanging out with somebody for a while, then they wanted it more serious and you're like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it.
So I should never have been here to begin with.
Pretty much. And then I felt bad because you're like, I'm really sorry, but I shouldn't.
A lot of guys and girls do, they jump right into the apps now because it's like, oh, something will distract my mind. It's the worst.
Worst.
You need a while just to process it. I remember when I broke up, I was like, I just got to process. I jumped right in. I was like, whoa, I got to stop, process it, feel bad, and then because I remember one time I was on a date with somebody, I was just like, I don't want to be here. I literally don't want to be here at all. I think I cried in the car afterwards. I was like, I felt so bad for the girl.
I'll tell you this much. It hits you in moments.
She was on a date with you to begin with.
I've never said that. You want me to
That's why she was crying.
I've never said this before. You want me to tell you what I did?
Yes.
It was right after Joe List and Sarah Tillamosh got married right after I got divorced. It was probably months, right?
Assholes.
Pieces of shit. And I thought I was fine, and I went and I cried in the bathroom at their wedding. 100%. And dude, if you would have asked me 2 minutes before I did it, hey, you're gonna cry. You're gonna cry right this minute. No, I went in and I couldn't help myself.
Did you go into the bathroom to cry, or did it just hit you while you were in there?
And it hit me outside, and I ran in and I did it. Because I didn't want to be near the wedding at all. I didn't want to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, how much of an asshole could you be at that point? If you're
Foreigner, I want to know what love was playing. That's why
people wouldn't have cared, but I get what you're doing.
Like, people would have cared. People would have been like,
yo, Donnelly's crying.
Also, especially
I'm saying
like,
they wouldn't have been
invite yourself over there.
No, that's what I meant. They wouldn't have cared about that. They would have been like, oh shit. They would have been concerned.
But that's still taking attention away from the wedding.
Yeah, but how about at the table in the next 2 weeks from now? They got torn apart by everybody.
Got torn apart.
I got torn apart now for saying it on here.
No one would have been like,
that's fine because it really did happen.
Was that wasn't the first time you cried, or I mean, it was shortly after.
It was right after. It was a few months after.
That was the first like.
Yeah, I think so.
Like getting.
Wow,
I don't cry that much. I don't cry that much.
That's like getting smoked in the face. You see, two great friends get married and you just got divorced.
But you
just lost it.
But if you
let's relive those cries.
But if you would have told me, like I didn't. You don't have that countdown of thoughts up to leading to the crying. It comes like an earthquake. It comes like out of nowhere. I'm not sitting there going, oh, my two great friends are getting married, and I'm saying you're just like, oh, this is so great, and then you're like, oh fuck, what's happening?
You didn't even hear like the sound of a song, and then you see it,
to the bathroom,
the smell, you're in a tux. It's like what? And you're just like, that's so crazy.
It was crazy. The onions, I chopped them.
Donald's going to take a shit, just sprinting to the bathroom.
But it's also indicative of what I'm saying about how you think you know yourself when you don't know yourself.
Yeah,
and that's what the biggest thing that I learned over the process was like, yeah, I'm fine. Nah, I'm fine. Like if you would have talked to me about it, I was like, gonna be like, whatever, fuck the whole situation, I'm fine. I would have been like, no, it sucks.
I feel I feel because we were in Chicago. I think shortly,
same time, right?
Like right around that time.
Yeah.
And you were just like, nah.
Yeah.
It was very. I was like, I don't even know.
I think I was there too. You
I
guys
don't
ate
even
like
know.
those beef those meat
Oh yeah,
sandwiches.
because we were going to Rosemont. That's right.
Yeah.
And I remember you just being like, I was like, maybe he is fine. Like, I don't know. Like,
He overcompensated with 4 pounds of beef. He's like, Iron Man, give me meat.
How'd you guys get 4 pounds of beef and 17 beers? No, Sean's fine. No, Sean's good. Yeah. Guy drank his body weight in liquor. And you're like, no, it's fine. Honestly, it's not affecting him. It's not affecting him.
You guys are rock. But yeah, that's
cried
what I
once for like 8 times. So what now? Like talking about dating, like once you found yourself in a position to like be dating again, because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, like, or guys would ask, when can I date again? When should I date again? And I'm sure
slamming those girls, Sean, huh? You're swiping right, slamming.
I think it
I
was
was wondering where you're going with that. It's like
slamming puss left and right. The Donnelly story, the comeback, the Donnelly
That's what the
comeback.
ladies want a fat George Carlin. That's what they want.
This is his origin story.
But I know the general answer is probably when it's different for every guy. But was there a moment when you realized like something clicked and you were like, I feel safe and comfortable being on dates, like going out and actually putting myself out there?
Well, I was going on a bunch of dates. I think at first I jumped into it, realized that was too fast, took a little bit of a break, went back on it. The other flip side of it is that you have that dating sucks, that being single sucks.
Yeah. No,
so
that hasn't changed.
don't get me wrong, there's fun parts to it, but it's like one of those things where you're like, being single sucks, the apps suck, and you're meeting these miserable people already. So it's just compounding your already weird situation. So what did it for me was when I was like, if I meet the right person, and then the woman I'm dating now, like I realized like, this seemed different, and we got along because we actually had a weird situation. It was still kind of when it was like lockdown-ish. There was another like people were kind of staying in. It was like January. It was like a year ago, January, and we did FaceTime calls before we did dates.
Was this on the apps as well? You met
we met on Hinge, yeah. And we did FaceTime calls, and we talked for like 3 hours per call. And I was like, I've never done that before. Like that's new. Like in that circumstance, that's usually indicative of a good situation.
Yeah. The circumstance in that particular situation sort of helped you, right? Because you couldn't go anywhere, and you had to FaceTime.
How awkward was that though? You FaceTime and like.
Well, there's nothing else you can do. Though.
I know, but it's just like the first time you meet. Usually you're at a bar. There's people there. Now you're showing her your underwear in your room. It's like it's a weird thing.
No, well, I don't know why I would show her my underwear in my room. I don't know how you roll, but
Scopo, here's a skid mark. My mom could get rid of it. So here we go.
Get these out.
I have.
Sometimes Smash isn't available.
My mom usually does it. She's not home right now.
Tight to go stick you can bring over.
Hot water for colors? I can't remember.
But it was like, well, there was no underwear in sight, so that probably helped me. But besides that, we were talking for a while, and it was natural, and it didn't feel forced, and I didn't have that because the amount of bad dates you're dating now, right?
Never, I crush everyone.
It's up for 8 hours on FaceTime.
See, this guy's in therapy. He still can't. We still gonna crack this heart a little bit.
One of them hit a home run.
There you go. And that's 100% true.
I gotta beat him off with a stick.
Why are you beating women, Scopo?
I was gonna say, buddy,
I got off, not on me. You know, I got a shot.
Sorry, I keep getting beat with a stick every time I go over.
No, so like I think the FaceTime thing helped because when we did meet up, it felt like the fourth date. Like it felt like fifth date. Like you already knew each other, and you're like, oh, this feels comfortable. Yeah. So that's why it's worked out and whatever. So that's when I realized, and I was already at this point. That's 3 years out. Like don't get me wrong. I'm not wallowing in it. Like like I said, it was a pretty agreed upon thing that it was supposed to happen. So yeah, you're still going to have the effects of what we talked about, but I got out of it. Some guys, are miserable for 20 years. They don't do anything else.
You'd have to imagine that forever.
Crazy.
There's going to be something's always going to remind you of it.
100%.
It's just a matter of how you deal with it emotionally, so that it doesn't drive the rest of your life.
It's knowing that it was the right thing to happen because she's with somebody else and they're engaged now. And I'm like, that's the right.
How was that?
My family, from Facebook, and all that, like my family's one who told me first, and they were like, "We have to tell you something. It's not bad. It's not." And then they told me, and I went, "That's great." Like I actually, I tried to think what my immediate reaction is, and it wasn't the like, "Oh my God, what the?" I think some people might be that way.
You think therapy helped with that a lot? Because
100%.
I feel that if I saw an ex-girlfriend get engaged, my first reaction would be like, "Fuck her." I hope that they fucking,
I hope
they
it's a
split
fake ring
up.
and it makes her hand green.
No, seriously, like I'm not even trying to be funny. Like I feel that I would do that. I would be like, "Fuck her."
No,
Fuck
I think
him.
that there was
Who's
so
this
many
fucking
things at
idiot?
play.
I
'Cause
would.
I blame myself for why the marriage broke up, and then it took a lot of therapy to realize that there was
Both.
responsibility on both sides. So then what I realized is I really. When you go, I just want them to be happy, which sounds really
That's crazy.
but
that's a crazy thing, but it's a great
cliche
thing.
But I actually.
But you mean it?
I did mean it.
So then,
yeah.
That's
and I'm
fucking
not just saying
crazy.
that. I think if I really had, I think right now, I told you I cried. If I
How many-
See, that's the hold on. Yours is the Italian side.
No,
where
well-
you're like the vengeance.
Well,
I want you to
no,
suffer.
I run on spite. I
Yeah,
really
yeah,
truly
yeah.
do.
send her a fish in a newspaper.
Yeah.
You know the scene from The Revenant when he's running that to kill the guy in the snow?
Yeah.
That's my life. That's what I'm doing every day. But
He's Steve Buscemi from Billy Madison. He's just crossing off names on a list.
and the lipstick.
He goes, yeah, so we get a coffee. He's like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Not a bad guy after all these years.
People to kill. What is it? People to kill.
No, dude, that's crazy that you actually saw your ex-wife or I don't know if you saw, but you heard that she was getting engaged and you went and meant you're happy for her. I can't fathom people I know in my life where they had an ex-wife, ex-girlfriend, and then they got engaged, and they would be genuinely excited. I would imagine every single one of them would be like, "Fuck her. I hope she gets
my buddy-
cancer in the ovaries."
My buddy-
I swear to God, that would be their answer.
My buddy still to this day goes,
swear to
"I will
God.
get my vengeance on her." I will. What is this, Gladiator? Get out of here!
No, but that's amazing, dude. I want to be like that. I know.
Oh, dude,
me.
I have you're always going to have your petty shit. I'm telling you, the therapy thing, like you said, it's like, it works wonders. So, but with that situation, I think I've also had so much time to realize a lot of shit about it.
Yeah.
And on top of it, it's not that I don't have like the moments of like, oh, like you said before, like, what did I do wrong? What if did I make the mistake? I've had those thoughts. They're fleeting thoughts. So that I separate those, try to separate those from like, no, I'm not going to swear off, like, that you never have happiness again in your life. That makes no sense. Like, especially when we knew. It's one of those things where, don't get me wrong, I've had situations in my life that I would probably, like the jealousy thing comes in or the envy. And what I realized with this is that we probably shouldn't have been together in that way. Like, I think, I think we loved each other. We weren't in love with each other. I think that might have been the case.
My parents are divorced, and I will tell them things about each other, like if there's like a health issue, if there's something serious, right? Because but they'll always throw a shot in. They'll always be like, my dad will always
I think
be
it's generational.
like, I hope your mother's fine. And then as I'm walking away, he's like, that fucking, he'll throw up, and my mom will do
Hope
the
your mom's
same.
fine, but give her a good scare.
She'll be like, I said, because my dad got hit he was out riding a bicycle. He's fine. He got hit by a car. And I was like, yo, dad got hit by a car, but he's good. She's like, oh my God, he's fine. And then she's like, he's a fucking moron. And I'm like, there's no reason for that.
But it's almost like,
you think that's generational?
I think it's generational, and I honestly, I know, fucking with you, I think it's Italian. Honestly, Irish people.
No, that's definitely Italian.
We go,
Maybe.
good for him, and then you just have a mini heart attack and you're like that kind of thing. So I'm probably
I got both sides. I know what both sides are, so like I'll have to.
You can always tell how wake. If you go to a wake, that's how you know how a culture deals with like emotion. Like you go to an Italian wake, you have old women in black jumping on top of the body.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you go to an
that's
Irish
my
wake. I've killed Irish wakes in the back of the room. Like, you know what I'm saying? People are hanging out. Nobody's even paying attention to the
I've
body.
never been. How do I get to one of these things? Someone's got to
Well,
bust
guy,
you.
show up. It'll be nice.
I know where it is. You don't got to tell me.
Closing the casket. Oh, that's so funny.
Bees later coming.
Oh man, I don't want you to die.
Yeah,
trust me.
but it'll be fine.
That's gonna be a great one. That's gonna be a great wake.
I might relapse. I might go back. You know what?
So what now moving forward? Like now that you're in a relationship, can we talk a little bit more about like the post divorce, who you are now?
Is
as a
your
guy?
relationship better now?
Well, I'm sure it's
yeah.
better, but like, what did you
have you
learn?
learned? Yeah.
Like the communication stuff. Are there key
That's the
things
main
that
thing.
And do you see yourself actually being like, this is the moment I need to say something because really.
And then when we got I get comfortable, I go back into my old ways. So my old way would have been like, I'm annoyed at this, don't say anything. But I'm like, because of therapy and because of what happened with my other relationship, recently there was a thing where I was annoyed about something and I wasn't going to say anything. And the way I was talking about it in therapy was like, what I do is this, I work out every different permutation of what's going to be the reaction and then do nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Or like whatever it is, like an asshole. So then what I did was I brought it up on the phone and then I found out her perspective on it and I was like, cool, I'm glad I said it. And it helps.
Do you feel like in that moment, like when you're making that change, like you're stopping yourself to make the change to go, I need to bring this up, we need to solve this and or just get it out in the open. Do you feel like a sense of like, this is what it's supposed to, like, do you have like that, like,
Yes.
Are you consciously like understand? That's so
I
crazy.
think 100%.
That's so good.
Is it like
But it's
this?
also,
I'm happy for you for
it's
that.
Incremental.
That's so
it's
big.
incremental. There's things I probably should have wanted to bring up but didn't. It's like trial and error. It's like when I actually am thinking about it and working on it, I brought it up. This one that just happened, I had the calming feeling of going, I even said I'm really glad I brought that up because I would have showed up with like it in the back of my head the entire time.
It's almost like the old you is like sheds every time you do that. Like you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
It's so easy to to just say the words.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
What are you
Someone's a
scared of?
snake?
Yeah. Snake in the grass.
Jesus Christ. Sean, you're shedding your skin.
Shedding the old skin. But it's a good analogy because it's true. It's kind of like it's like if a snake shed its skin like 1 millimeter at a time. Because it's so slow.
It's one scale at a time.
I've been going to therapy for years, and if I talk to myself from 7 years ago, I would see the progress. But it's almost like comedy where you're like, you ever see a video of yourself from a year in with comedy, and you're like, Jesus, I stink. Yeah. but I 10 years in. But it's one of those things where it's like you don't realize the progress is happening, and then when you're like, when you're actually thinking about it, or it's right in your face where it's like one little instance, that's where I'm like, I wouldn't have done this before, and I just did it. And after I got over the initial fear of doing it, I feel better about what's going on.
Do you live with your girlfriend?
It's valid. It's a valid concern.
For sure.
Do you live with your girlfriend now?
No, I don't.
You don't? Okay.
Have you talked about it?
Yeah, we have.
And you're ready to.
I think so. We're trying to figure it out. It's a new situation. She has a 4-year-old son, so it's a new situation. But we're probably going to. We're just trying to figure out the logistics.
That's an interesting theory. I'd love
someone
to
to play
follow
with.
up with you about the
dude.
later on and talk about like the kids and stuff.
Sweet toys. You got Nerf guns?
He has a bunch of Spider-Man stuff. He's an awesome Hot Wheels racetrack that he loves that we play with all the time. It's gigantic. It's like nothing I would ever have as a kid. It was like, it's gigantic. There's jumps on it. There was a dinosaur head that eats the cars as it comes down. Like the cars come.
Buddy, sounds like you're moving in pretty soon. That's what I'm
You
hearing.
moved in already mentally.
I'm there.
Now let me ask you: Is that kid's dad in the picture?
He is.
Okay, so how's that?
It's fine because it's one of those things where I had to meet him. I'm the one who reached out to him because he's very. It's funny because we're comics. We're so used to dealing with awkward shit. I'm like, I'll meet him. I performed for one person before. I'm like,
Yeah, they were finished.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, I'll have an awkward conversation. Then we met up for a half hour, and then ever since then we've had a good relationship.
Wow.
And he's a good dad, and he's really cool. But like,
They're cool, obviously.
they're cool. Yeah,
Okay.
they have it worked out really well. That's between them, but they're cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's kind of recap and then we'll wrap this up.
Let's go to Patty's and
Let's go to
recap.
Patty's and recap. So stop me if I'm wrong, but I've been taking notes as like, here's like the things that you to know more about divorce and like what to expect or how to think about it, or to possibly save a marriage. 1, communicate.
Yeah.
Talk it out. Have the fights.
I think if you're
not fighting, it's going in the wrong direction.
it would make more sense to go beyond the honest. Like, you know how you're supposed to hold in some stuff to be polite? Even that seems more, don't do that more than not going the other way and not saying anything.
I
So
like
go
to
the
just
other
get it
way.
out. I don't like.
Yeah, but
you hold shit in. It's gonna boil up to it's gonna be worse when when it boils over.
Yeah.
You got even my relationship now.
that's
two times I've been like, let's talk. What are we doing here?
It seems
Stop
like the obvious answer that anyone can conclude, but
You can't
like
go
the
wrong
truth
with
is that it's
You talk to
the
them.
most important part of what you're talking about.
You got to talk to them. Tell them they're wrong, and then that's it. Yeah, because you're right.
I love he's giving relationship
I want to take
advice.
Scopo's course.
You're a man. You got a dick. You're
like,
right.
He's like, you're wrong, and how to kill your friend's ex-wife. How to help your friend kill his ex-wife. 101. Like Chris Scopo.
Voice lawyer, hitman,
and then we'll go for a baseball catch.
And when you want to dump the body, I got a garbage sanitation in Jersey that gets rid of the body. No problem.
The second most important thing, I think, based on what you're saying, is be poor. So that way you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about the money. But be amicable.
No, be rich so half your money doesn't matter. Be a billionaire so you can have 500 million and still drown your sorrows in Kapalua, Hawaii.
That's why, trust me, when you're a billionaire, you want to stay a billionaire. So you get every asset you keep in your own.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
That's worse when you have a lot of money because rich people don't like giving their money away. So it's like, I got to give half of it away. No, I'm going to keep my money.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they're still going to be able to like drown their sorrows somewhere really freaking nice. Yeah. And I was in Queens, New York.
Yeah, I grew up here.
But be amicable, but also therapy.
And
don't be afraid to reach out, even not for help, but like just to reach out to be around people, so that way you have a support, any kind of support system, so you're not by yourself dealing with the
Drop
emotion.
the humility maybe too, right?
Yeah.
Drop the thing that you
drop
think
the machismo of like, I'm fine.
Yes.
I'm a guy.
You're not fine.
You're
not
not
fine.
You're not fine. I'm back on my feet.
And it could be at different degrees, but you're not fine.
Yeah, you're not
Yeah.
fine. And be okay with not being fine. There it is. That's the
And
word.
if you got to cry, go to a bathroom stall and a wedding.
At your
That's where you got to
wedding.
go.
Yeah.
I've never said that ever in public.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
That's going to be the clip. That's going to be the preview.
Tag Joe and Sarah.
I want to give you the opportunity now to cry if you want to.
No, I'm totally okay.
It'll help the podcast.
Sean, it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Let's go Bill hunting.
Yeah. But thanks for doing this. Thanks for being honest and open with us.
Of course.
It's an interesting topic, and I'm sure we'll have plenty more times we'll be talking about similar stuff. But hopefully this gives anybody a good laugh, but also some information. Just like, or it's just nice to hear somebody else talking about it in direct terms.
Yeah.
And seeing that you're okay.
Totally.
You're okay.
I'm totally fine.
I got one last question. Do you, look in retrospect, would you change? Would you not get married?
You really waited for that one, huh?
Yeah,
Right at the 45-minute mark.
Jesus, you really want me to cry, don't you?
You said Good Will Hunting. It's one of the questions.
No, you know why? I'm going to say no because I'm still glad. I'm not regretful of that part of my life. I'm glad because it brought me where I'm at now. So I'm not. I still love my ex-wife as a person, so I'm not regretful of that piece. So I still would have because that's like saying, would you change the history to get rid of? Like it's a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It's just that it shouldn't have happened. Sounds
But
like
you
it's a
wouldn't
mistake,
be the person you are today.
Exactly.
The growth.
So it was part of my life. No, I still would have gotten married and done everything I did the same because it helped me. It helped me now. I'm happier now. So,
And now he has the opportunity for his second marriage to be at Patty's, which was not available the first time.
Exactly where I'm
Yeah. Well, cool, man. So thanks for doing this. Anything you want to plug, talk about?
Yes, I have a new podcast coming out February 17th. It's called Brand New Jerks, where me and my friend Ray, we learn how to be more assertive. We're people pleasers who want to. We're covering people pleasers. Oh, it might be taping right here in the Zero Buddy studio.
Studio 660.
And then also I'm at Shawnee Time on Instagram and Twitter. And this comes out when?
Who knows?
We have no idea. Might be after you got married again.
I'm going to put my dates on my website, SeanDonnellyComedy.com.
SeanDonnellyComedy.com, at Shawnee Time on social media.
Follow him. He's hilarious. And go to his
Super funny.
shows. He's a really funny guy.
YouTube the guy too. He's got all the late night, super funny stuff. Sean Donnelly, everybody.
Don't go!
Oh shit! Thanks, buddy.